We're now going to go back and we're going to select our lolly and we're going to be putting in some more code for him. So I'm going to go back to scripts up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to have to bring out a control block. And we're going to say if, then. All right. So we already know that it pops up in random places, that it's moving, that it bounces off the edge. But now what we're going to do is we're actually going to use a sensing tool that is dependent on colour. What we're going to do is we're going to choose the colour of the lollipop first of all. So if I click in this colour box here, that will be like our colour picker. And if I click on the lollipop itself, it will choose that colour. When that lollipop colour is touching, and I'm going to choose, oh, we haven't got the right ghost up. Let's change our ghost. Hold on a second. Let's get on to Mr. Ghost. So we're going to change his costume for a second and make sure we've got the right ghost showing. Excellent. Let's go back to our script now. So when our lollipop colour is touching the tongue of the ghost, then a range of things are going to happen. So we're going to drag this into here, and this is where we're going to start talking about what is going to happen. We're going to use something that we haven't used before. We're going to be using a broadcast. So we're going to broadcast a message. This is a little bit like sort of hide and seek, or playing a game called Marco Polo. If someone calls Marco, the other people call Polo, and you can see if you can find them. So it's a way of a program to communicate with other parts of the program itself. A broadcast has got two parts to it. One is the sending of the message, and the other part is the receiving of the message. What we're going to do is we're going to change this message here to a new message, and we're going to type in gotcha. In other words, when the ghost catches the lollipop, gotcha is going to happen. We're going to tuck this broadcast message into here, and then we need to think about what's going to be happening next. So we actually need, once the ghost has actually caught the lollipop, for the lollipop to hide. So we're going to go into looks and we're going to choose hide. We also want it to come back again, but we want there to be a little bit of a delay in it coming back. So we need to bring in something that's actually going to make it wait. And in this instance, we'll get it to wait for 3 seconds. And then we want it to come back in, but not in a predictable fashion like where it left, but we want it to come back in a different area that's quite random. So we're going to use in motion. We're going to give it a coordinate that it's going to return to, but we want this coordinate to be quite random, so we're going to use an operator, and we want it to come in quite randomly. So we're going to pick random 1 to 10, and we're going to set the coordinates in here so that it will come in randomly. Now with our coordinates we have an X and we have a Y, so at the moment we can choose one or the other. We're going to need to duplicate this so that we can choose the X and the Y. So let's start off with the X, and what we're going to do is we're going to say minus 200 for the first value, and then a positive 200 for the second. I'm going to grab hold of it and pop it in the first box. And for our Y value, I'm going to say minus 172 and put in a positive 172. Alright, this means that it can come up anywhere along the X, which runs this way, and the Y axis. So we need to just attach that here so that it pops back, and then we're going to choose for it to show itself again. So now we have our code, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to tuck this underneath broadcast, and then we're going to tuck this fella underneath if on edge bounce, and you can see that we have forever encapsulating all of this, so closing it all in. So let's have a look and see how our program works now. So we're going to try and catch this thing. So it disappears and it reappears. Oh, I'm really good at this, obviously. However, we have not got our ghost changing costumes from open mouth to closed mouth. Ooh, couldn't catch it. So let's change that.
So let's take a look
So
at
what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be giving our ghost some text now. So let's just stop this for a second. So we already know that our lollipop is zooming around. It does things. It sends out a broadcast that says, when you've caught me, it says gotcha. So now if we have a look at our ghost, we want his mouth to close. So we're going to start off with events, and down the bottom here it says, when I receive gotcha. So the lollipop sent out gotcha because it got caught. Now the ghost receives gotcha, so he can actually see that he's caught one lollipop. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually get the costume to change. So we'll go into looks and we're going to say switch costume to closed. We're then going to get him to wait for 3 seconds. Well, actually that's probably a bit too long. We'll get him to wait for 0.3 seconds, and then we'll change the costume back, switch costume to, and this time we want it to be open. We can actually make our ghost look like he's chomping rather than just eating, just with the mouth open and mouth closed. And the way we can do that is we can actually use something that is a repeat loop. So what we need him to do is, when it says about switch costume from closed to open, we can actually put repeat around that, and we can get that to repeat maybe twice so that he actually looks like he's chomping. Let's give it a go. Let's see if we can catch a lollipop. Oh, sometimes this lolly goes behind it, so I don't know if you noticed, but you would have seen his mouth open and close twice. There you go.